Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Legal Moment. I am Regina Sun, an attorney here in Atlanta, Georgia. And today's topic is on the Plan B pill, which is the morning after pill. The Plan B One Step is a single dose pill which is effective in decreasing the chance of pregnancy if taken within 3 days after unprotected sex. And the product does contain high levels of hormones found in some types of just birth control pills and other contraceptive pills. But it works in similar ways in terms of just preventing pregnancy. If you're already pregnant, then it can't terminate a pregnancy, but it can work to prevent one. Recently, the Teva Women's Health Incorporated submitted an application to the Food and Drug Administration to market Plan B One Step as a non-prescription drug product, which means that any person of any age could be able to obtain a pill. Right now, if someone a female probably under the age of 17, wanted to get this pill, she would have to have a parental figure there to obtain the pill. And the pill has been out probably since 2009, and it is now trying to be sought out from Teva Women's Health Incorporated. They filed this back in February 2011, trying to seek it to be done as an over-the-counter drug. So to sit there with like just condoms and Tylenol and whatnot and not have to acquire a driver's license or some type of ID to prove that you are over the age of 18 to receive the pill. Unfortunately, the FDA, they were about to approve the pill to be an over-the-counter drug, but the Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services decided that it should not be approved as an over-the-counter drug because she felt as if there were not enough tests done to determine whether or not there were a lot of effects on women who are at least 14 or 11, because a lot of times girls start their menstrual cycles fairly young, and they say the youngest is usually around 11 years old, and there was no test on whether or not there were a lot of side effects on children that young. And probably more so the political reason was just having young girls access to that type of contraceptive over the counter could condone premarital sex and just sex at such a young age, instead of trying to promote a little bit more of abstinence and not being ready to handle such big decisions of that nature. Now, the legal part of this is, under the Code of Federal Regulations, the Commissioner for the Food and Drug Administration Act is responsible for approving such non-prescription drugs or prescription drugs to be over-the-counter drugs before it can actually become an over-the-counter drug. So here you have the commissioner approve it, but the Secretary of Health and Human Services, she overrode or written that approval, and she could do so under the United States Code, which essentially permits her to oversee all types of activities and all types of laws that are governing the Food and Drug Administration Act. So that is kind of the legal part of our segment of today. I have here with me JR, and JR, you have nieces and nephews. You think they would be ready to handle this over-the-counter drug at age 11 or 13?
Wow.
You may one day have a little girl someday.
Oh, that's tough.
Instead of her telling you she's having unprotected sex, she just may buy this pill, and you never know.
Well, I mean, it is a touchy subject. I do think it should be an over-the-counter drug. And, the reason that I say this is because you really never know what situation that child is in. And what I mean in at home, they could be in an abusive family. And, if they're having unprotected sex with someone else out in the street somewhere, they may be afraid to go home to their parents and say, hey, mom and dad, I made a mistake. This is what happened. Because they don't know what the repercussions may be. So I feel like with situations like that, it may be a good thing to have it over the counter. So if that little girl can go and, get the pill and get everything taken care of.
Now, it seems as if with that type of rationale, you would be for a young person who is in that type of situation being able to have an abortion, since she would be too afraid to let her abusive father or her mother, who doesn't know about the abuse, know that she's pregnant. I mean, would you condone someone that young making the decision to have an abortion?
I don't think I don't know. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just a real touchy situation.
It is, and I really feel like girls these days, and just youth these days, are growing up too fast. I mean, if we're really wanting to prevent people of 13 and 14 from having unprotected sex, it's as if, we know that there are doing that type of activity so young. I mean, I think that should be a central concern even of itself. And to be honest, from a recent report that I've heard, teen pregnancy has dropped. So, say it isn't as big of an issue, why not make it a requirement for someone who isn't under age 17 to get parental consent if, you're not going to have this huge influx of teenage girls trying to get this pill?
Okay, I mean, that's definitely understandable. So, what if the child does not want to go to their parents with the situation? Could it be a way to where they can go to someone with confidentiality and have things taken care of?
I'm sure they could find a school nurse or, a pediatrician. But I mean, like you have a child.
Yes.
Will it concern you if your child will not come to you about having sex, unprotected sex?
Yeah, it would concern me.
And if he is doing it, don't you want to know? I mean, do you want him to be able to have access and never tell you what's going on in his life? At least when it comes to sex. I
mean, I would want him to tell me a lot of the important and serious things that are going on with him. But the reality is there's a lot of people and young women out there that don't tell their parents everything and or possibly afraid to tell them. Because there's a lot of...
We're saying, instead of making you tell them, which should be the preferable thing to do, we'll give you an easy way out. I mean, is that what we should be doing, or we should be forcing them to tell their parents?
Like I said, it's a serious situation. You have a lot of kids in these abusive and violent homes, and making these types of mistakes and confronting their parents with these mistakes. I mean, the effects of that could be serious.
Definitely, the effects could be serious, and I think that is more of the reason why you would want to encourage parents to say, look, we need to sit down and talk to you about why this is so serious and why you're either not ready for it or why you need to keep me informed. But if we're providing an avenue to where they don't even have to have this open dialogue with their parents, I don't know if that helps the situation.
Well, like I said, I mean, you can have an open dialogue with the parents, but I'm not saying all parents are abusive and everything like that. I'm just saying, there are a lot of kids that do not have good homes, and they're afraid, to tell their parents what's going on in their lives. And, for those people, for those, certain amount of people, I mean, something should be able to be done to help them get through any situations that they have, especially if they get pregnant.
One quick question just on the legal part of this. Do you think the secretary should have used her power to override the decision of the FDA?
I don't think it was a bad thing. Obviously there are a lot of parents out there that are outraged over this. And
some that are not.
Yeah, there's some that are not.